What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the only sports podcast. That's right, 2 episodes in, and we're already changing the name, but that's because, Casino, I discovered something, which is we're the only sports podcast on the web. They do it on TV, they do it on the radio. They've never thought of doing a sports podcast. We're the first one and only. Who would have guessed it? But I'm Will. That's Casino. How you doing today, Casino?
Pretty good. I'm just gonna let my dog take over for this meeting because for this podcast because apparently my dog probably knows as much as I do about football.
Yeah, dude. Week one was rough for our picks. Let's just start off. What is your most shocking week one result? Do you think? Just looking at all the slates, I'll give you an option.
Go for it.
The Browns beating the Panthers. The Bears beating the Niners, the Steelers beating the Bengals, or the Giants beating the Titans. I think that's all the ones that are quote unquote shocking. I think it might be for me, Giants beating the Titans.
That's going to be one for me because Giants, I thought was going to be the worst team in the league. Come to find out it's my team, but...
we will get to your team.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we will. No, but Giants beating the Titans, and you know what? I don't feel so bad because I looked at a lot of these professional picks from, and
everybody fucking had the Titans.
Everybody, yeah, and so I don't feel bad for having so many wrong. Considering how many other professionals had these things wrong as well. But I think the Giants winning I was a little flabbergasted about that one.
I think that one is the most egregious because at least with the Niners Bear game, the weather was so shit in that game. I still don't know if the Bears are that good or the 49ers are that bad. It just seemed like one of those weather games where weather played a much bigger factor than I think anybody was anticipating. But that Giants Titans game, I don't understand that at all. It's oh God, my computer's being so slow today. But yeah, so now do you want to talk about your team or do you want to avoid it for longer?
Let's do it now.
So when we were doing our week one preview and even when we were doing our NFL preview, we said the biggest issue would be the Patriots trying to score any type of points or offense was going to be the number one issue. And boy, was that proven right. Scoring 7 points against the Dolphins. You watched that entire game, Casino. What did you see?
The main issue, we have some lack of weapons, as we've talked about before, but the main issue is the Pats. That O-line, they just let everybody get to Mac Jones. They didn't even have to rush 6 guys. They were getting penetration with 4. That fumble, for instance, for Mac Jones that led to the fumble recovery and touchdown. We had Trent Brown totally blew his assignment on the edge rusher coming around. They had 3 guys on one defensive lineman, and then when he realized it was way too late, and he came around and Mac Jones didn't see it coming. So I think that was honestly the biggest issue. I think our defense played what I kind of expected it to play, but our offense wasn't able to keep any time on the field to keep the defense, the Pats, I say ours, but the Pats defense off the field to give them some break. So, the offense is 100% the issue as we predicted.
As everybody knew it would because they're having a defensive coordinator call the offensive plays. I mean, Mac Jones, he was 21 for 30, 213 yards, a touchdown, and INT. That's the completion percentage is there, but yards, I always hate yards as a stat because that's pretty much meaningless. I just saw the stat where the top 5 passing leaders this week, 4 of them lost their game. So it's who cares, especially when it's games where it's a blowout and you just get a bunch of garbage yards at the end. And it's oh, this guy threw for 350 and 200 of them were in the fourth quarter when the game was done. So it's like,
Right.
who gives a shit about that? But it's like, mostly it was you had no rushing. It was Damian Harris, 9 carries, 48 yards. Ramondre Stevenson, 8 carries for 25 yards. So that's an average of 5 yards and 3 yards, and then nobody else. And again, your issue was going to be the receiving core, which my guy, Nelson Aguilar, 3 receptions, 28 yards, nothing. Jonnu Smith, 3 for 31, nothing. Kendrick Bourne, 1 for 41. And then Jacoby Myers, 4 for 55. Like, nothing.
And you know what's crazy with the Kendrick Bourne thing is I believe he only played 2 snaps the entire game.
and one of those was a catch for 41 yards and a touchdown. So, yeah. And then the Dolphins, Tua looked good. But they also did what I was saying. I'm not saying I called it or anything, but with Tyreek Hill, they did a lot of bubble screens. They did a lot of slants.
Say that you called it because we didn't call much else. So give yourself some props on this one. Yeah, so what did he fit? 94 yards, 8 catches out of 12 targets or something like. Is that what it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jalen Waddle, 4 for 69. Heyo. For 1 touchdown. So they got their receiving. They got the ball to their best receiving options, but they had literally, your defense did stuff the run. Like 12 carries, 25 yards for Chase Edmonds, and then Raheem Mostert, 5 carries, 16 yards. So the running backs weren't doing anything. Their passing game was all right, but it's just how you can stop the run all day. You can hold them to 20 points, but you're not scoring. Like, that's the big issue. Like, your defense is fine. It's solid. Everybody knew it would be, but the offense is the biggest question mark. And those question marks just kind of got bigger, right? Like, nobody stepped up. There was no surprise.
None at all.
Like, I always remember, do you remember that one year? I think it was the year KC won the Super Bowl, where they started the year and they had Kareem Hunt against the Patriots, who, like, everybody was like, who's Kareem Hunt? And then he just went off for like almost 300 yards. And then it was just like, oh, I guess the Chiefs have a running game now. Like, that's nothing happened there. But so what is coming out of week 1? We talked about our biggest surprises. Who do you think, if you just had to give me maybe a handful of teams that you think are at the top of the league right now, who do you think your like top 5 are? I guess the candidates would be obviously the Bills. Let's see, the Bills.
So I would go Bills, Vikings, man. You were right on that one. And then Chargers, Broncos. We'll get to them, but I still think they're going to be all right. But Kansas City, Chargers, basically the AFC West, and then you add in Minnesota and the Bills. I think that's what we're looking at.
The one big acquisition for the Chargers that we did not mention in our preview of the season or this game is they got Khalil Mack, and he had 3 sacks. He was hitting Carr all day. Like, that's going to be huge. One side you have Bosa, the other side you have Khalil Mack. Like, their defense looked good, like good. I think we underestimated how good their defense is going to be. And then obviously their offense is going to be a top, 3 in the league, right there with Kansas City and the Bills. But I honestly think right now it's Bills, Kansas City, exactly how we ended last year. And then the Bengals obviously like sneaked in to the Super Bowl, but Bengals look bad. They just look, their O-line is, as bad as it was to start the year last year. And then they kind of figured it out a little, but it looked like it reverted right back. But I think in the NFC, it's still wide open with the Vikings maybe as the best NFC team. And then, AFC, it's got to be Chargers and Bills. Chargers, Bills, and KC. They're all right there. So I don't really think there's any surprises coming out of that. I don't really put I don't really give any stock to the Ravens because they were playing the Jets, and the Jets look as bad as any team in the league, but the Ravens are right there. I think let's talk about that Monday night game. So the Broncos Seahawks ending in the weirdest last minute of the game like ever, where everybody's like, are they not? Why are they not going for it on 4th and 5? Why are they not calling a timeout? Why are they letting a minute go off the clock to just call a timeout? Everybody was like, they're trying to make them jump off sides, but they didn't even attempt to play. Like it was so weird.
So I wonder, were the coaches expecting Russell Wilson to kind of take control? Because I mean, that was Russell's whole big thing when he wanted out of Seattle. He wanted more control over his offense, and he wanted to be the guy. Yep. He wanted to be the Manning, the Brady.
That's where the let Russ cook thing came from, because he was actively bitching like, they don't let me fucking do anything. Like,
so I'm wondering if that was supposed to be on him, and he didn't do anything.
Oh,
and
that's a good call.
But I don't understand why they didn't let him go for it on a 4th and 5. I mean, he's still Russell Wilson, and he's still got a lot. I mean, do a quick out route to Sutton. You're good.
Yeah.
There's 5 yards. I mean,
well, it's also like, who knew we were shitting on Geno Smith? I mean, Geno Smith fucking lit him up. Like,
did you hear his press conference?
Yeah.
After that was pretty funny.
Geno Smith was 23 for 28, 195, 2 touchdowns. And I feel like sometimes the stats lie. I feel like these stats are lying in like the opposite direction. He looked better than those stats are giving him credit for. Yeah, like he was fucking lighting it up.
Some of those passes were perfect spirals in coverage. Like, I don't know how he I don't know how he did it.
Honestly. And again,
I'm shocked.
The question mark was, how was Russell Wilson going to handle like this new Broncos offense? I don't think the question mark at all was about the Broncos defense. Everybody was like, the Broncos defense was great last year. They're bringing everybody back. They didn't lose anybody. They just added to it. Their defense is going to be even better than this. And then they get carved up just by Geno Smith and the Seahawks team that, again, was in contention at the beginning of the season for worst record in the league. Like, who thought the Seahawks were going to be any good when they basically were coming in being like, we're in a rebuilding year?
Right. But here's the thing. I don't blame the Broncos. The whole team in a whole was bad. I don't blame Russell Wilson on this at all.
No. I mean, he wasn't bad.
Was it his fault that 2 fumbles happened on the 1-yard line? No. Like, that's bad. And then also 12 penalties for 106 yards.
Well, when I picked the Broncos as
this game should not have been close at all. They destroyed themselves. I would like to see how bad they get bitched out and they come back and see if they can get their heads on, because they were showing signs of good team. That first drive, they were just like, oh, I'm going to take it and go downfield. I mean, the Seahawks got that really nice little toss over. Safety coverage came up. Geno Smith almost got wrecked and sacked on that play. You should have wrapped up, but But you take that aside, that next drive with the Broncos, they just came down and made it look easy, and they just didn't score when they needed to. They didn't do anything in the red zone.
No, and like we were, I picked the Broncos to go to the Super Bowl. The one thing I did not factor in is the coaching. And if, like you're saying, like if that last drive is on Russell Wilson, like that's on him. But the penalties and the not calling the timeout, like that's all coaching. So if they can't get their
those new coaching,
if they can't get their coaching like in check, and also wasn't this Broncos head coach? He was the offensive coordinator for the Packers last year, right? So it was like Matt LaFleur was calling the plays. So like, what was this guy doing? If you're the offensive coordinator and you're not calling the plays, like what are your job duties? I don't know. I feel like my overreaction is maybe the Broncos head coach isn't a good NFL head coach, and that's going to fucking tank this Broncos team that has promise. Like,
I mean, this is a really good overreaction day because there's so many games and so many questions on what's going on with. I mean, I still feel even now, even after the games are done, I still feel confident on the picks that I had.
Yeah.
I just, I mean, week one's always crazy, especially when it's in division. So
Well, also so I think like people always dismiss them, but then games always come down to them. Kickers. Like kickers had such a rough time in week one. The Jaguars, Colts, Texans, Steelers, and Bengals each had a chance to win their games on a game winning field goal that was missed or blocked or shanked or doinked or whatever you want to call it. But it's just like quarterbacks and kickers are the two, like, are they the two most important positions in football? Like they're the ones where it's like you either literally win or lose games just on those one, like that one person. Like
yeah,
how many Ravens games have been won by Justin Tucker? Like probably about as many as have
well,
been win on like game winning drives as Lamar Jackson.
well, I
Like
mean, I mean, I know for you, I mean, it was against the Eagles, right? 2 years in a row where you hit the over the 60 yards to win it, right? That was against the Eagles both times, right?
I know the Eagles kicker hit like a 64 yarder to win a game their Super Bowl year, but I don't know. I can't remember
Maybe I'm
when
getting that
Justin.
mixed. No, I think that's where I'm getting. Maybe it was the Eagles that did that. Anyway, uh, so maybe yeah, because I thought the Eagles were involved, so maybe that's what it was the Eagles kicker. Anyway, Justin Tucker, he doesn't miss like that. But anyway, moving on.
But
Uh,
now you brought him
well,
up. Let's get to my team casino. Super Bowl bound? Question mark. Just
Detroit Lions? Question mark.
I'll tell you what, watching the Detroit Lions or whatever, they're real, like, they're going to be good. I'm not backing down from that at all. Like, there was a period here where in the second quarter, the Eagles just like dropped 24 on them. And in any other team, there's a handful of other teams that would be like, you know what? This game's over. We're done. Like, let's just pack it in for next week. And the Eagles took their foot off the brake and they were just like, all right, let's just coast to the end. Let's go into a prevent defense. Let's not be aggressive and let's just fucking chill. And then the Lions come storming back, make it a game, and the Eagles just barely escape with a 38-35 victory. Also, the Eagles put up the second most points in week one, only behind the Chiefs, more than the Bills, more than the Lions, who put up the third most points. But yeah, I mean, the offense is firing on all cylinders. They picked up right where they left off last year, which is just having the number one rushing offense in the league. But they do it in a way where I just don't understand how they do it, but they're just so efficient with the run. Like obviously the Jalen Hurts was the biggest question mark coming in. His first week passing performance was still kind of what it was last year, which is like, I mean, he made some good throws. He made an absolute bomb to AJ Brown, who
Is on my fantasy.
I mean, had the exact week you would want your first time new wide receiver to have. He had, oh, my computer's being so slow. Do you have his stats for this week, Casino?
Yeah, let me get to him for you said for AJ, right?
Yeah.
Let me scroll down to it.
Oh, I think I might have.
Yeah, hold on.
Why is it saying there's no stats currently available?
That's what I'm
Why is it
seeing.
doing this? ESPN or NFL website is garbage.
I'm struggling with that as well. But yeah, so I'm there with them. So yeah, his stats, 10 receptions, 155 yards, 15.5 average.
Yeah,
And
buddy.
he was targeted 13, so he had 13 drops, misses. I honestly wasn't watching that game closely. I was going back and forth because obviously I got to support my friend over here.
I was actually why we only have one episode this week instead of two is that I was actually in Disneyland with the family and it was fucking miserable. It was 90-degree heat with 90% humidity. It was every day we were there. It was fucking, you were covered, drenched in sweat by 9 a.m. and it just lasted until the sun went down at 8 p.m. It was just absolutely miserable.
Don't just blame yourself, because if you were here and we tried to do it, I would have been in the bathroom the entire time doing
Oh
this
yeah, you were
podcast.
sick as well.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
a stomach bug that was not working well with me for about 3 days.
How are you feeling
so
now, Casino?
eh,
But yeah, so Jalen Hurts, 18 of 32, 243, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But rushing was really where I don't know why people talk about Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray or Josh Allen as like the best rushing quarterback in the league. Jalen Hurts led all quarterbacks last year in yards, touchdowns. He led all quarterbacks in yards and I think touchdowns. I don't think anybody got two rushing touchdowns from a quarterback position this week, but week one, he had 17 carries for 90 yards and a touchdown. Miles Sanders, 13 carries, 96 yards and a touchdown. So that's why they're the number one rushing offense in the league. They have the best rushing quarterback. His passing is still iffy. This game, he wasn't bad. He hit a bomb to AJ Brown. He obviously, like you were saying, gave AJ Brown the ball 10 times, 155 yards. Like,
well, I mean, all four of your guys' touchdowns were off of rushing.
Yeah, all four rushing touchdowns, 216 yards on 39 carries, like domination, just domination. But then again, on the other side, Detroit only had 28 carries for 181. So interesting stat. When they had the number one pick for the Eagles on the field, Jordan Davis, the giant fucking huge man from Georgia, defensive tackle, they only allowed like, I think it was like 2.8 rushing yards, okay, per rushing attempt. When he was off the field, they allowed 10 yards per rush. So they were putting him in like third and fourth packages and like he was like rotating in and out of the field. If you're going to run stop, they're trying to do this like weird bear defense, like 46 kind of like rush Madden bullshit when it's just like do a 4-3 defense and just switch him out with Fletcher Cox and Hardgrave and then just fucking stuff the run so you don't get fucking run on for 181 yards in only 28 carries. Like, goddamn. But yeah.
You good? You okay?
Well, I really think the two if we're going to overreact, I mean, we have to, right? We only have week one to work on. The two best teams in the NFC are playing Monday night. It's going to be Vikings at Eagles. Like there can't whoever comes out of that game is the best team in the NFC, right? Because everybody was picking the Packers and they just got fucking just beat up by the Vikings. I mean, Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the NFL?
Possibly. So I gotta backtrack now. I mean, I'll stand by my pick. I'll stand by my pick with Green Bay winning that division, which I'm sure I'm wrong at this point because they looked awful. No defense, no offense whatsoever. But I think that's a safe assessment with Jefferson right now.
Yeah.
I mean, going through week one.
Well, and then
it's week one, but yeah.
We picked Aaron Jones to have a big game. They only gave him the ball 5 times. And he still got like 50 yards. So he was averaging 10 yards a carry. Why did he only get it 5 times? Did he get knocked out injured? Did something happen? Because why are you going to stop feeding probably the best skill position player, like especially now that they got rid of Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers obviously can't run the ball. So Yeah,
I
it
mean,
doesn't make any sense.
so what do you think is the bigger concern, I guess, for the Packers since we're on them? Do you think it's their offense or their defense?
I think I just think the Vikings just are going to have the best. Maybe I think in the NFC, they're definitely going to have the best offense. Like they have Kirk Cousins, who when he's on, I mean, he's on. Like people give Dak Prescott so much credit, but him and Kirk Cousins always have the same stats. They have the same playoff success. But if we're talking regular season, I don't think you can count Kirk Cousins out. I think the Vikings beat the Eagles Monday night because Kirk Cousins has just always fucking owned the Eagles. Like he just has.
Okay.
When he was a Redskin, every time you play him when he's on the Vikings,
Whoa,
he just
whoa, whoa,
fucking
whoa,
lights us
whoa,
up.
whoa, whoa.
Huh. Oh, sorry. When he's on the Commanders.
There
When
it
he
is.
was on the Commanders. Yeah. And then the Commanders, waking up Monday morning to the best news ever, which is Eagles, Giants, almost said it again. Eagles, Giants, Commanders, all tied for first place in the NFC East. Guess who is in last place, Casino?
The girls.
The
I guess
Cow.
I can't say that either. Gotta be right here.
So the
Dak and
Cowboys.
Company.
Now Dak is also going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks with an injury,
I thought it was 8 weeks was for his surgery on his hand.
I mean, but again, people are acting like, oh, they would have won that game if he was still in it. They were getting their ass kicked until he was out. And then Cooper Rush came in, really did nothing. But in terms of, if we're going back to the Packers, I just think, again, divisional game, first week of the season, I think their defense is going to be fine. But again, they're going to have the same issue as the Patriots. Like, which of their wide receivers steps up? Because nobody had over 50 yards in the passing game. Aaron Rodgers was 22 for 34, 195 yards, 1 interception. Like, everybody at the beginning of the season kept saying they have nobody to throw to, but everybody was like, it's Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers. Like, you don't have to worry about that. Like, apparently you do. Like, wide receivers are kind of important in the passing game.
I didn't like his post-game conference either about press conference where he threw to that rookie early on, dropped the pass, and then he didn't throw back to him who was it again that he threw to?
I know who you're talking about. He didn't throw. He threw to him in the first quarter. Guy dropped the ball. Yeah. And then he didn't throw back to him until like the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. And it's like, if it was any other
about that.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't care.
Well, if it was any
I'm not quoting it, but that's what it felt like.
If it was any other quarterback, you'd be like, oh, maybe he wasn't covered. But because it's Aaron Rodgers, he was doing it just to be an asshole. Like, just to like teach that guy a lesson. Because that's who he is.
Great. Now you shot his confidence. Good luck trying to throw to him next week.
Yep. And it's just like that's also a coaching thing, which is why wouldn't the next play or the next like series or whatever, you try to do a quick slant to that guy or a screen or an end around or just like get the ball in that guy's hand to like be like, it's okay. Like, you're a rookie. You can drop balls like everybody does, unless your name is Larry Fitzgerald, like, or DeAndre Hopkins. Like, everybody else drops balls and just don't drop the next one. Like, but when you basically have your quarterback being like, you fucked up one time, I'm never throwing you the ball again. Like, how's that guy feeling? Like, he's got to be like, fuck, man. Like, but again, I don't know. But then Aaron Rodgers lost a fumble and was intercepted, but threw no touchdowns. But the coach isn't like, okay, now you're no longer allowed to throw or hold onto the ball. Like, that's why I've always just had an issue with Aaron Rodgers. Just like little dickhead moves like that. Like, fuck, man. Like, why are you such an asshole?
Right. I'm gonna pause there. Max screaming.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. Casino, the father strikes again. We had to take a little break. My kid is luckily sleeping, so I'm still good.
We are going to start recording in the middle of the night, so we won't have to deal with our children anymore, and we can be dads who just neglect our children.
Exactly.
But they'll be sleeping, but
as the way it should be. The way it should be. But all right, Casino, you got anything else to add about week 1?
No, besides we're not that good at picking.
No.
But again, I still stand by my picks. Week 1 flukes, overreactions, like starters are getting their full reps all together for a game. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I think really the only team we kind of like undersold is, I believe, I'll go back and listen. I didn't write them down. I'm going to write the picks for our second week here, and then we'll do the total what we have going into week 3 after week 2, obviously. But I'll re-listen to the episode, last week's episode, where we made the week 1 picks and write down who we picked. But I remember clearly picking I believe I picked the Cardinals over the Chiefs. I'll have to double check that, but I think the Chiefs are the ones we kind of undersold going into the season. But last thing we'll talk about week 1.
To a little bit, we still said that we expect them to wild card it out at minimum.
Yeah, but that brings me to my question. Do you think the Chiefs could potentially be better without Tyreek Hill? Patrick Mahomes put up 5 touchdowns. They looked fucking unstoppable.
No. Tyreek Hill was their security blanket, so I don't think they'll be I don't think they'll be better without him. Maybe the same level without him, but they're not going to be better.
Well, Andy Reid's teams are always the most unstoppable juggernauts in September and October. So let's see what the Chiefs look like when they're, 5-6 games in, because then I really feel like we'll either start to see the effect no Tyreek Hill has, or the effect of we don't need Tyreek, or maybe they do. So, yeah, but I just think they probably look the most impressive week 1 that I was like, of a team I wasn't really that high on going into the season, because I just thought they lost people on defense. Their offensive line is nothing to like write home about, but man, Patrick Mahomes is he's the best quarterback in the league. And I mean, do you think he's better than Josh Allen, or do you think Josh Allen is number 1? Obviously, Brady is in the league.
I think Josh Allen, between those two, not saying Mahomes is not great, but because that arm is ridiculous. He can figure things out under pressure. But I don't know. I like the presence of Josh Allen. Like he knows when to run. He knows when to be in the pocket. He's just a very smart quarterback. And those are the quarterbacks that I like, obviously being a Brady fan. I'm not the biggest Eli fan, but I appreciate his brother Peyton. They read the game. They understand the game. They can get up to the line of scrimmage. They know what's going on. And I'm not saying Mahomes doesn't. I just think Allen's on a different level. And that's what makes him so entertaining to watch, is he looks like he's been playing that position as long as Brady has right now. Mahomes, again, he's great. He looks amazing as well. But I would take Allen if you gave me, hey, you want Patrick Mahomes or Allen right now? I would take Allen.
Now, the interesting thing about that is that, Josh Allen has never beat Patrick Mahomes in any of their matchups. So
that's fair. Again, not trying to take anything from Patrick Mahomes. He's Patrick Mahomes. There's a lot of people saying that he's going to be the better quarterback than Brady. He's got more Super Bowls to win, but he's looking good doing it.
Yeah, I think I just have to take Patrick Mahomes until either Herbert or Josh Allen can beat him in the playoffs. Like, it was all those years.
Do they have to win a Super Bowl or
no? Just beat him in the playoffs. Because remember, it was all those years where it was like Peyton Manning is such a better quarterback than Brady, and then every time they played in the playoffs, Brady like kicked their ass. So it was like just that thing where you couldn't say Peyton Manning was better than Tom Brady until that one time the Colts finally beat like the Patriots. And then it was like, okay, now we can have a debate. But I just think until then, like it has to be Patrick Mahomes until Josh Allen can beat him.
That's a good point. I mean, that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Yeah. But again, I don't think you can, think it's a wrong answer. Both of them are just fucking insane.
I wouldn't put Herbert up there yet. He's got some more to prove, but
yeah, I agree. But all right, Casino, let's dive into week 2 and our picks that I will write down now. So we have the first Thursday night game of the season that is exclusively on Prime, Amazon Prime, which, oh man, I love that Amazon. Love it. Love that Amazon. Love how I'm going to be at work during this game. We don't have Amazon at work, so I won't be fucking able to watch it because the NFL is garbage with how they put their fucking games on all these stupid fucking services where it's like, oh, you want to watch all the games? You better have DirecTV. No other option to watch the games. Oh, you want to fucking watch a Thursday night primetime game? Like you have to have Amazon Peacock. Prime. Like, oh, cool.
Or is it Amazon or no? Thursday's Peacock. Or which one's Thursday? Which one's Monday?
No, Peacock is for Sunday night football.
Sunday night football. Okay,
so it's just
to my point.
Yeah. Oh, you want to watch the Sunday night game? It's like you have to have. I mean, it's only going to be a couple of years where none of these games are going to be on television. They're all going to be in separate streaming services. There's what is it? Talk now that DirecTV, they're going to lose the red zone and all the games to Apple or Amazon or Disney Plus. Like it's going to be a giant shit show. So this is the start of it with this game, with Thursday night games specifically only being on Amazon Prime. So that'll be great how I will never be able to watch a Thursday night game now.
That's going to really hurt them. I mean, because you know how many establishments that are not going to be able to get that done?
That's what I'm fucking saying.
So there's a thing like, so at the establishment that I work at, for the viewers, we both work in service industry. The place that I work at, anytime that we would want to say there's a hockey game or something, we try to stream it. Certain TVs will lock you out. Like with like the ones that are all connected to the tablet thing. And, how they set it up is you can't stream. Like audio will come through, but the video won't come through. So anybody that is, say, the owner of the business has Amazon Prime and he's going to try to put it on his big system, the system itself, not saying Amazon Prime doesn't stop it, but the system itself won't allow him to stream the game. So you go to a sports bar on Monday night, or is it Thursday? Whichever.
No, it's just Thursday.
Okay, Thursday night. So Thursday night, you go to a sports bar. Oh, man, I'm ready to watch a football game. Oh, wait, I can't watch football? What?
Yeah, it's going to be fucking dumm. And it's going to get even worse.
They're going to lose so much in revenue. That they're thinking, oh, well, Amazon Prime's just going to basically Amazon Prime and Bezos are just going to pay off the NFL and like, oh, all that money that you're losing for your viewership, here you go. Just take this. We want to have as many subscribers as we can.
Yep.
They don't care about the fans, which is ridiculous.
Well, no, it's obviously about the money. Like that's why they do all this shit. And obviously Amazon has unlimited amounts of money from exploiting all their fucking workers. So that's a different story.
That's a
for
different
another
podcast.
I fucking hate Amazon. I hate everything about them. Just add this to the fucking list of things I hate. But we said all that to get to the first game. And again, it's a big fucking game I would like to watch, but fuck me, right? So it's going to be Chargers at Chiefs, AFC West, probably the two best teams in that division, especially after what we saw in week 1.
This game could, as we said in the first podcast, this could determine who wins the division.
Yeah.
This game. And you can't watch it.
Both teams look good. The Chargers obviously beat the Raiders. The Chiefs destroyed the Cardinals. Who you picking, Casino? Chargers or Chiefs?
Ooh,
and also, you have the injury report pulled up. Any big injuries going into this game?
Well, I mean, the kicker for the Chiefs, he did get hurt. He did to my knowledge, I didn't know that he came back to the game. I didn't honestly watch the Chiefs game, but the kicker got hurt for the Chiefs.
Which that could be, we saw in week one how important it is to have a kicker. So the kicking game might be the reason why the Chiefs lose this game. If it's a close game, like having your kicker out week two, like that's rough.
Keenan Allen out these are the big ones for the Chargers though. Keenan Allen is out, which is, their number one shot.
Every time I fucking draft that guy for my fantasy leagues, he gets hurt. Like it's that 1 year I drafted him first round and he was out for the season. So
I think I'm going to take Chiefs on this one. They are at home. Chargers, no Keenan Allen, no tight end, Donald Parham. And then also he's out. And then also former Patriot, JC Jackson, their new acquire at cornerback. He's questionable. So I'm sure he'll probably play, but will he be 100%? And then, the Chiefs, their kicker is out for week 2. So they got their backup kicker going. And then that looks about it. Yeah. So just with that, I'm going to take the Chiefs. Going with that.
I actually agree with you, especially Keenan Allen out. I don't think it'll affect the offense that much, but I also don't think it'll help the offense. Like Keenan Allen's obviously their number one wide receiver. They still have, I believe, Mike Williams is the other wide receiver. I can double check that because we learned from last week that I am terrible with just assuming what wide receivers are on what fucking teams, especially with the Chiefs. The whole time I still thought,
again, this year everybody changed, so everybody changed spots.
Don't justify it, Casino. Don't justify me. But so they have. Where is, dude? NFL's website is garbage. Can I just say that? Also,
I'm going towards the CBS here one now. So we got the wide receivers: Keenan Allen. You have Carter, Palmer, Williams.
Yeah. So that's the only name I need to hear.
Mike Williams, yes, he's in there.
But just based on week 1, I mean, both these teams looked, again, we talked about it earlier. Both these teams look like one of the top 3 or 4 best teams in the league. I think this is going to be good, but for the reasons you said, Chiefs being at home, Chargers look like they're missing way more substantial, like high impact players, especially if that cornerback doesn't play. So I'm picking the Chiefs as well at home. I do think if this game is close, it can get dicey with that kicking situation. Like we saw last week,
very much so,
how many teams lost potential game-winning kicks, even like chip shots that were just, they made the goalpost closer a couple of years ago. And that's really affected like quote unquote chip shot field goals. Cause now it doesn't seem like anything's a fucking chip shot field goal. There's people missing extra points left and right. So I think we're both in agreement on the Chiefs there, pretty much just because it's at home. Right? If this was in Los Angeles, I might pick the Chargers, but I'm picking them at home. Chiefs. Next up, that's this Thursday night game, which we're recording Thursday morning, so that's tonight's game. Next up, the Sunday games. First game we have to talk about, the 1-0 Dolphins at the 1-0 Ravens. Who you picking, Casino? You watched a full game of Dolphins, so what are you thinking?
Did I watch the full game? No, I watched the full game. I'm not a fair weather fan. I watched the full game. I think the Dolphins. Honestly, I'm just gonna go that route. Let's see here what we got for injuries.
While you're looking that up, I actually think I'm going the Ravens. Because, again, I think at home, I think the Dolphins maybe have a little bit more to prove than the Ravens, who have kind of been there, done that with this like team. They every year we see basically what we saw in week 1, which is the Ravens beating up on really shitty teams. When it comes to competitive teams, they kind of, either lose their way in the playoffs or just kind of go toe to toe with them. I think the Ravens, I think Lamar Jackson has something to prove this season, especially with the ongoing like contract kind of lingering there. So, and again, Dolphins, I don't trust Tua, even though week 1 he looked good. I just don't trust Tua. I think he's going to have a game or 2 or 3 this season where you see the limitations on that arm. Maybe Tyreek Hill gets frustrated with not being able to get the ball to him. So I just think Ravens, I think their defense looked good. Their offense looked, Lamar Jackson, and then the Dolphins, I just think there's question marks because, again, they only scored 20 points against a Patriots team that didn't look good.
Fair enough.
Any big injuries for this game, Casino?
I'm trying to honestly, the NFL Network one is just trash. I'm trying to look it up through the CBS one right now, but because we're really very prepared for this podcast, as you guys can tell.
We need to start printing out things because relying on the internet is just terrible. Because it's not our internet, it's the website. Because how is it happening for both of us? But it doesn't matter. We can go on to the next game. The 0-1 Jets at the shockingly 1-0 Browns, led by your former Patriot quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, who outdueled Baker Mayfield in week 1 and the Panthers, which was one of those things that I thought maybe not shocking because I don't think the Panthers are going to be world beaters, but I definitely thought the Panthers would look better than they did week 1 against the Browns, where
we both picked the Panthers. I do recall that.
Yeah.
Kind of impressed what transpired, but let's see what we have here.
Still the because you know how they do the stats. If we're just going based on week 1, they have the second rush offense in the league, obviously because they have the tandem of Chubb and Hunt.
Chubb and Hunt.
We didn't talk that much about Nick Chubb when we were previewing this team or this season or last week's game.
But 141 yards.
God damn. Nick Chubb, he could be. Who's going to compete with him for the AFC rushing title? Probably Jonathan Taylor, who had a great game for the Colts. And then over the whole NFL, we have Saquon Barkley coming back for the Giants. He looked like a monster. We obviously have the Vikings running back. I'm blanking on his name. What's his name? Vikings running back. He's not my Dalvin Cook. We have Dalvin Cook. We obviously have the Derrick Henry. It's like, but he's in there. He's in there with the elite. And they have the 31 ranked pass offense, second in rushing defense or rushing offense and defense. So who are you picking in this game, Casino? Jets at Browns.
Browns.
Oh, yeah. I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, there's still the JET sucks.
We don't have Zach Wilson. He's being rubbed down by who knows how many MILFs, how many GILFs, how many Cougars, how many, maybe not even attractive older women, just older women that are related to people he knows. So I thought that would have got him back sooner, but we still get Joey Flacco, who
actually had a pretty good passing rate. He did 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but 309 yards.
Yeah, but see, that's where yards mean nothing. They scored 9 points at home against the Ravens. So we're picking the Browns. Next up, another shocking event happened last week, which was Carson Wentz actually looked good. Oh, except for the most Carson Wentz thrown interception where he just chucks it directly into a lineman's stomach at the line of scrimmage for no fucking reason. He was trying to do a screen pass and there's 4 defenders right in front of him and he literally just like tosses it limp wristed into the defender's stomach. And other than that, he threw 4 touchdowns, I believe. But again, you get the best and worst of Carson Wentz, which is you get that amazing deep ball throw that's a touchdown. And then the very next series, I think it was, or the series before that, you just get a gut throw right into the defender's stomach. And yeah, here we are. So it's Commanders, not the Redskins, versus my Detroit Lions. Who you picking, Casino?
Detroit Lions go 1-1. They win
Ooh.
this one. They just, I mean, we talked about how, your Eagles are a much better team, and they were still able to go after. I mean, yes, we're talking, you talked about the run defense, whatnot, but yeah, I just have Detroit. I liked what I saw. And again, we've talked about, and you personally have talked about Wentz and how up and down he can be. And Swift is going to be a much better threat than Gibson. I do think that I'm going to go with the Lions.
You know what? I actually agree with you. So the Commanders at this moment are the 4th ranked passing offense. And that's because last week, again, Wentz had a good game. He was 66% completion percentage, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That one interception, the most Carson Wentz interception of all time. But again, he's going to have games where he puts up 4 or 5 touchdowns, and then he's going to have games where he puts up 1 touchdown and turns the ball over 4 times. I don't think that'll be this game with the Lions, but that Lions team is no joke. They fight hard. They look exactly like they did last year, which, again, I thought they were a better team last year than their record turned out to be. I'm also picking the Detroit Lions at home to upset the
Commanders. The Lions are favored by 1.5 currently.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I think that's the Carson Wentz effect. I really do. I just feel like nobody feels comfortable betting on Carson Wentz because, again, he can have a game where he turns the ball over, he gets sacked 5 times, he fumbles twice, he throws 2 interceptions, and you're just like, what is this dude doing? Like, what is he doing? And then you realize he's just Carson Wentz. Next up, we have Indianapolis Colts, the 0-1 Indianapolis Colts, which is the ugliest record I've ever seen in my life. 0-1 is garbage. It should never be allowed to happen. But we have the Indianapolis Colts, led by Matt Ryan, at the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by my former coach, Doug Peterson, and Trevor Lawrence. Who you got, Casito?
I mean, I don't know. The Colts tying with the Texans.
Dude, David Mills, he can play. He's very underrated at quarterback.
I mean, and so then you got to think who knocked Indy out of the playoffs in 2021? The Jacksonville Jaguars. So, I mean, coming on in, was it a fluke? Man.
Well, no, there's this weird stat where the Jacksonville Jaguars are 6-0 against the Colts in their last 6 meetings. For some reason, they just own the Colts. And especially with this being at home at Jacksonville,
I'm going Jacksonville.
I think I am too. I think I just convinced myself, Matt Ryan didn't look bad. Again, as of today, the Colts have the number 1 offense in the league. They're second in passing, 6th in rushing. And Jonathan Taylor looked like a fucking beast. 31 attempts, 161 yards, 1 touchdown. And then Matt Ryan lightened up the Texans for 352 yards that are, again, meaningless because they tied with the Texans. So I'm also going Jags. I think the Jags are just improved all the way around. They're 13th in offense, 13th in defense.
Another thing, the Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since, and to go on to your point, haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014.
Jesus, we're in 2022. That is crazy.
So,
Jesus,
yeah.
How is that possible? That was 2014. They still had Luck, didn't they? Luck retired in, I want to say, 2017. So, God, how the hell is that possible? That is the weirdest stat in the league. Who just that no matter what, the Colts always beat the Jaguars always beat the Colts at home. So weird. Next up, we have your former wet dream, your former hero, the love of your life, the Tampa Bay, or should I say the Tom Brady Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers
if Tom
versus
Brady is getting ready to be single here, I'll take him. I love my wife, but
at the Tampa Bay kryptonite of the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, for some reason, know how to Fetty Wap fucking Tom Brady and just frustrate him to no end. Do you think that continues in this game, Casino?
I actually do. I think the Saints come out on top on this one, even though the Bucs are favored. Reason being, my reasons is look at how many times that the Bucs got into the under their side of their side of this field for scoring, and they had to come out with a field goal. They couldn't finish it, and again, the Saints defense, it's not a bad defense. And then something going positive for the Saints. Yes, they weren't great, but they had to come from behind, and their resilience to come from behind and skid out the win there at the end. I just think they have more drive going into this game. I think there's too much going on in Tom Brady's personal life, which I don't know about you. I don't really want to be one of those podcasts talking so much about the personal life, but we could dab on it where it's probably going to affect the game.
I don't know how it couldn't. Maybe just because Tom Brady's a fucking psychopath and he's able to just compartmentalize like personal life versus football life. But I don't know. If I was just, I mean, again, I agree with you. I don't really give a shit about Tom Brady's personal life just from like a covering it standpoint. Like, I don't wish him to get divorced from his hot wife or whatever. But if they are on the verge of divorce, like, I don't know how that doesn't affect him. Right? Like he just, God, like that's gotta be tough to play. Like,
especially when everything was probably all good when he said he was going to retire and his wife was like, whoa, just like, yeah, I'm going to get my man back. And he's like, nah, man, I'm going to go back and play some football, leave the kids, take care of them. Like, and that's what it kind of almost felt like when he came out of retirement.
Yeah, it almost felt like one of those things where he told his wife, like, I'm retiring. And then he announced he's returning. And she was just like, you didn't tell me you were returning. Like, what the fuck? Like, it kind of feels like that.
That was that awkward conversation over some avocado ice cream, in the middle of the night while the kids are trying to sleep. After their mouth kiss goodnights.
Yeah. Sorry. And it's just like, maybe that's why Tom Brady couldn't tell his wife, because his son was blocking his mouth with his mouth. And he's like, no, I'm trying to tell you, but my mouth is blocked by our way too old son to kiss on the mouth. It's weird. That's weird. I don't care. That will be a personal thing we can talk about. My son is 10 years old right now. Like, I'll give him a kiss on the cheek. I could never imagine like kissing him on the lips. It's weird. He's a family member. I would never kiss. If I had a daughter, I wouldn't kiss her on the lips either. It's weird. It's weird. Kissing family members on the lips is weird unless it is a step brother or stepsister and it is a pornography. Other than that, it's weird. It's weird, Casino. And that also still might be weird. The whole step bros. Help me, step bro. But I think for all the reasons we talked about, and just for the recent history, like New Orleans Saints, I just think they have this. Their defense looked damn good last week. They have a top 10 couple defense.
Upsets and not actually going with the favorites like we did last week and get totally trashed.
Yeah, I mean, let's wait till we get to the Bears Giants games and see if we're really, sticking with the underdogs. But I think the Saints, I think they looked real bad for 3 quarters. And then that 4th quarter, they just came back on the Falcons. But people coming back on the Falcons in the 4th quarter, that seems more like a Falcon thing than a opponent of the Falcons thing. So who fucking knows? But yeah, I'm picking Saints just because I think they have Tom Brady's number. Next up, here we go. You want to put your balls on the table right here with this pick, Casino. The Carolina Panthers at the New York Giants. We thinking Giants 2-0?
No. I'm gonna go no because I just don't think the Giants are that good. And if they go 2-0, we can revisit this conversation, and I might hang up my hat on this very short career of sports podcasting. But I don't know. I think Carolina definitely now have something to prove. Like if you wanted to be taken seriously, you can't lose to these two teams in a row.
Dude, imagine losing to the Deshaun Watson-less Browns, and then the very next week losing to the Daniel Jones led Giants. Like, again, I don't put any stock in that Giants 49ers or Giants Bears game because no, it was the Giants Titans game. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the Bears and 49ers, but I don't know, man. The Giants. So right now,
and just it squeaked out. It was 20-21.
Yeah, and the Titans were the ones that missed the game time field goal, right? Or was that? I think that was the Jaguars.
That was another game.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch that Giants game at all. I just kept seeing the highlights of it where they're like getting closer and closer. And again, that was just one of those. I feel like that's going to be one of those head scratching ones we just talked about at the end of the season. Like, how did this happen? It's saying the Giants have the number one defense, number one rushing offense in the league. I don't think that holds up. I don't trust this Giants team at all. I don't trust their defense. I don't trust Daniel Jones. The only one I do trust is Barkley. And yeah, I just don't think the Carolina Panthers lose to this team. Are we both picking the Panthers, Casino?
I'm picking the Panthers, which is another underdog.
Really? Giants are favored.
-2. Currently.
Oh my God. I would have thought it would be like I would have thought it would have been 1.5 just because they're at home. But maybe I don't know why we like the Panthers so much. I just feel like the Panthers are better than what we saw, even though they didn't do shit that game for 3 quarters. But who knows? Next
Definitely not us.
I mean, we don't. But what are you going to do? We're the only sports podcast. You have to listen to us. Next up, Casino, your team at again, another upset from last week. The Steelers beating the Bengals, a division rival. Patriots at Steelers. Who you got?
So it depends on who's playing quarterback. I like Jones. I do. I think he's a good quarterback. We just need an O-line to protect him so he can actually learn. I mean, going this, second year here, going 2 years with no O-line, it's really tough to improve as a quarterback. However, if he plays, he's also he wasn't practicing today. He had an illness, but apparently he practice yesterday, even though he's coming off of he tweaked his back in the game 1. But now he has an illness. I don't know what's going on. If we play Hoyer, I do think that we'll have it. But if we play a sick Daniel or a sick Mac Jones, I don't know. I don't think that we could pull it off. It is in Pittsburgh. It's going to be loud. Rally towels will be going, but
what is the line on this one? Do you have that?
It's actually, we're favored. Pittsburgh's +2.
Ooh.
So I'm going to say New England. Just going with Belichick teams, it's very rare. And yes, I know it was during the Tom Brady era, but it is still very rare for Belichick. And you would think for Belichick to lose too many games back to back. I mean, it's happened with Brady and all that, but I'm going to go the Pats on this one, not just because they're my team. I picked the Dolphins last week. I was right there, but I am going to pick the Pats this week. And I do think they would even have a better shot if Hoyer starts. I know he's an older quarterback, and he's been in and out of the team 4 different times. He knows the system. Without McDaniels there, he still knows the system. He knows the Belichick. He knows the players. So we'll see who's going to get the start. But even if it is Mac Jones, they may squeak it out. But Hoyer, I would definitely say let's go Pats on this one. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
All that being said, from the Steelers' perspective, if you, as a Patriots fan, let Mitch Trubisky beat you, beat a Bill Belichick run defense, I think you should return one Super Bowl. I think that you can't lose to Mitchell Trubisky. He didn't look good last week. He was pretty average. The shocking thing is the Bengals held Najee Harris to 10 attempts for 23 yards. Like, that's crazy because I think he's right up there with Chubb, with Henry, like in that mix of best running backs in the league, especially in the AFC. But yeah, that being said, I think big game Mitch does it. I think he beats your Patriots, and then it's fucking panic mode in New England, and you have a meltdown on next week's podcast. And it's
know how many times the Patriots Patriots started off the season 0-2 and won a Super Bowl. All right, so I mean, hey, it's good luck for us.
Yeah, who'd they win that Super Bowl with? Because I believe he's tongue kissing his son over in Tampa Bay. Okay.
So if we do have to return to Super Bowl, can it be the one that we won against the Eagles? Because in my mind, we won that Super Bowl.
Yes, the one from 2004 you're talking about, right?
Yes.
T.O. McNabb. Yes, that's the one you
I was
can
gonna see if I
return.
could get you on that.
Next up, we have the 0-1 Falcons, who last week did Falcon things, losing in the fourth quarter after having a big lead. They are going against the also 0-1 Rams, who got their ass kicked by the Buffalo Bills. Who are you picking, Casino?
Rams.
This one, the Rams need to return their Super Bowl if they lose to the Atlanta Falcons. Because Marcus Mariota, I don't know why everyone likes him.
-10.
Jesus. The line on this is -10. 3, 2, 1. All right, we are back. Now we have...
You multiplied.
Yeah. So, again, this will change when we decide to record this podcast at 3 a.m. instead of at 2 p.m. But
Casino, dads, look at us.
This should get us, look at this face. This should get us at least 1 or 2 more subscribers.
Yeah, hopefully.
I won't kiss him on the mouth for you sickos. Who is winning Atlanta at the Rams? I think we're both agreeing, right? This is Rams, no question. Yeah. If the Falcons win this game and the Rams start 0-2 and one of those losses is to the Falcons, I really do think it's panic mode for the Los Angeles Rams. How could it not be?
Yeah, man, Stafford don't care. He got a Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, he looked rough in game 1, so let's see if he can bounce back. I think that's an easy pick, though. I think everybody and their little baby is picking the Rams. Next up, we have the shockingly the 1-0 Geno Smith-led Seahawks against the shockingly 0-1 Trey Lance-led 49ers. Who you picking in this one, Casino? Divisional game.
This is another rainy day. It's supposed to be, and it's 8.5 favored for San Fran.
That is way too high.
It is way too. It's and you want to know the over under 41. So what are they thinking, that the Seahawks are just not going to score like a point?
Did they watch the Monday night game? The Seahawks looked good. Like,
I don't know if Geno Smith has 2 games. But man, I don't know. I don't know this one. I still want to say the Niners, but 8.5, that is ridiculous.
If we were doing like odds, or like if we were doing picks based on the spread, I would pick the Seahawks all day. Like, and you know what? I still think I'm picking the Seahawks. The game I am throwing out is the Bears 49ers game just based on the weather. So I don't think you can elevate the Bears or devalue the 49ers, but I also, throwing that game out, I still don't know what to expect from Trey Lance. I still don't trust Trey Lance. I don't think he's a reliable quarterback. He's not shown me anything in any of the things I've seen him in. And Geno Smith, I mean, people were making fun of him. 82% completion percentage, almost 200 yards, 2 touchdowns against, again, a good Broncos defense, a Broncos defense that only got better. I think I'm going Seahawks with the upset.
You know what? I'm going to ride that train. I think Geno Smith is pissed, and I don't have faith in Trey Lance. He looked really bad.
Really bad. Like, again, weather not permitted, but man.
Do you think if he has another, if they go 0-2, you think it's Jimmy time?
I don't, like, again, how many weeks do they have to go where it's just they get bad quarterback play before they decide, hey, we've had a guy with basically this same team lead us within one bad throw of winning the Super Bowl. Now we got this guy who can't beat the Bears. Like, and then they can't beat a Russell Wilson-less Seahawks team. Like, if they start 0-2 and you're living in San Francisco, how is that not the number one topic coming out of this game? Is like, when do we switch over to Jimmy Garoppolo?
They go back to Jimmy G after this 0-2 start prediction. You heard it now. You heard it here on the only sportscast.
You think they go to Jimmy G if, let's say, Trey Lance has a really bad game. Like, really bad, and they lose.
10 for 25, 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Two interceptions, 1 touchdown. No, 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown. Let's just make it bad.
Okay. So they have that bad of a game. Do you think they switch to Jimmy G the next game, or do you think they ride it out?
They switch.
See, I think that I would say they would switch if they weren't coached by Kyle Shanahan, who I think is an egomaniac and thinks he's like this super football genius. I don't think he will bail on Trey Lance just because people will say he was wrong. I think he'll stick with Trey Lance just to try to prove people wrong. So I think we at least get, I mean, if they start like worst case scenario, 0-3, 0-4, I think if it gets to like 0-5, I don't know how you cannot be like, throw Jimmy G in there just to see what we got. Like, but yeah, with this one, I'm picking Seattle. I think this will be, according to the line, I think this will be the biggest upset of the weekend. I pick Seahawks all day.
All right. I'm with you.
Next up, a game that definitely has less appeal than it did last week because we saw a Cincinnati Bengals team lose to Mitchell Trubisky and the Steelers, and we now see a Cooper Rush-led Dallas Cowboys team with Dak Prescott being out anywhere from, the rumor is 4 to 8 weeks. So who we picking in that one, Casino? Bengals at Dallas.
I think Cincy comes out of this. Elliott, he doesn't care to be there. Dak's out. He was their only saving grace. Yeah, I think Cincy just kind of goes with this win.
I'm actually, as an Eagles fan, I'm actually sad that Dak Prescott is knocked out because I only would like to beat a Cowboys team with him as the leading quarterback of that team. I feel like the win doesn't feel as sweet if he's not in it. So I hope him a speedy recovery. I don't dislike Dak. He's obviously
I don't dislike him.
He's just my
the Cowboys, but I don't dislike Dak.
No, he seems like a good dude.
I mean, he does seem like a good dude. He doesn't have "feed me" tattooed across his belly, so.
Oh yeah, Ezekiel Elliott is the worst. Like, I hate Ezekiel Elliott. I don't wish an injury on him, but I dislike him strongly. But yeah, I don't know how this isn't a Joe Burrow bounce back. Joe Burrow had 5 turnovers last game, but he still did Joe Burrow things where they were within a couple throws of him, winning the game. There was that one weird goal line, like at the 1 yard line touchdown throw that was called not a touchdown. And then they chose not to review it, even though if they did, it clearly would have been a touchdown. That was just weird. So they should have won that game. But they didn't, obviously, because of that weird stuff. And the last minute of that game was weird. But I don't see how the Bengals don't. I think this might be a blowout, to be honest. I think if we were betting for biggest blowout opportunity of the week, I don't know how this couldn't be it. But next up, we have the 0-1 Texans at the Broncos. So who you picking, Casino? Don't sleep on David Mills. Don't you do it. This Broncos team just got lit up by Geno Smith, and he is not a better quarterback than my guy, David Mills.
What do you think the line's at?
4.5 Broncos.
10.
Get
Broncos.
the fuck out of here. What are we doing with these lines? No way.
Just wait
10?
till you hear just wait till you hear the next one too.
Oh my God. I'm sorry that I cursed in front of you, child.
We neglect our children and we yell profanity in their ears. No, Denver. I still think they're a good team, and like I said, their offense looked good outside of fumbling the ball on the 1 yard line twice.
Yeah,
like they looked like a good team, and then just don't make the penalties. 106 yards penalties. That's a lot. So there was so many chances for Denver to take that win. That if they do that week 2, then that whole team needs to be thrown in the fire, because that is a ridiculous thing if they go 0-2 and they have just as many penalties and fumble and turnovers. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they got chewed out. They're probably doing a multiple two-a-days, and obviously.
Yeah. Well, I also think that we talked about Rams panic time. If you're the Broncos and you just spent your entire cap, a bunch of draft picks and everything to get Russell Wilson, and then you lose the first game to the Seahawks and the second game to the Houston Texans, two teams that before the beginning of the season started were in contention for possibly worst roster, worst record, worst everything in the league, and you lose to those two teams starting out, how can you have a silver lining of anything? You had Judy and Sutton on the offense. You got Melvin Gordon and Williams rushing, and then you have Russell Wilson as your quarterback with potential top 5 defense, and you're losing to two of the potentially worst teams in the league. I love David Mills. I thought last week he actually had a damn good game. 62% completion percentage, 240, 2 touchdowns. Burkhead looks, I would like to see more carries go to Burkhead, because I think he's the workhorse on that team. He's also on my fantasy league this week as a pickup. So let's go Burkhead. You're my guy, former Patriots player. I know you love him.
Sexy Rexy. Oh, Sexy Rexy. Sexy Rexy.
And then we have Brandon Cooks, who is on a different team every year and just always puts up 1,000 yards.
Former Patriot.
He's he's played for every single NFL team at least 3 times. He's on a different team every year, putting up stats. But regardless of all that, I'm still going with my preseason Super Bowl pick. I think Broncos right the ship. Ride them Cowboys, or whatever that dumb thing Russell Wilson was saying in that Instagram post. What was he saying? It was like, right on Broncos or something like that. I don't know.
I didn't hear that one.
I mean, you are lucky, because it was cringe-tastic. But next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals at our home stadium, Las Vegas Raiders. Who you picking, Casino? Cardinals looked absolute garbage last week, but they were playing the Chiefs. Raiders looked like absolute garbage last week, but they're playing the Chargers. So tough week 1 matchups. But who you picking? Cardinals at Raiders.
I'm going with our city, Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Raider fan, even if I wasn't a Pats fan. And they're a transfer team to this city. But no, I do have the Raiders winning it. As you said, they both had tough teams to play with. I'm just not. I like Kyler Murray a lot. I think what he does, especially with his size, not trying to, downgrade his talent or anything on that, but I don't think he's going to be able to beat the Las Vegas Raiders. And again, I still think the Raiders could, again, in that AFC West, either be a wild card, be one of two teams to get a wild card, or even win it.
No.
Oh no, my kid's going too.
All right, we only got like 3 more games, so let's go through these quickly. I think. Wait, who are you picking? I'm sorry.
Raiders.
I'm right there with you. Raiders all day. I just think the Raiders, at least they were playing the Chargers and it was still a close game last week. The Cardinals looked like they had already given up first game of the season. They didn't even, some of those touchdown throws from Mahomes were too wide open, guys not within 15 yards of the target. I just think Cardinals look like maybe the worst team in the league last week. And I think that had more to do with the Cardinals than the Chiefs. Raiders at least held their own with the Chargers, even though it was an ugly game. I think Raiders, I think this is redemption. I think they look good. Potential blowout potential game here in my eyes. Next up, we have the shockingly 1-0 Bears at your Super Bowl pick, the Green Bay Packers, who looked, again, the only worse offense.
I didn't say Super Bowl pick.
Wait, they weren't your NFC? No, you picked the Rams, didn't you?
I just said that they were going to come out of the division on top, which, again, at the beginning of this episode, I said, I may be wrong, but I'm gonna be a man of my word. I'm sticking with it. But the line.
Now the Packers have owned the Bears in Aaron Rodgers' entire career. Right. So what is the line on this one, Casino?
10?
They're giving the Packers 10?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Who are they scoring? How are they scoring?
Know. It's supposed to be a rainy day in Lambeau.
So is this, I mean, I could see this being a blowout if it's the Aaron Jones game. If they just give Aaron Jones the ball 32 times and just let him run all over. Yeah, this Bears team that looked good against the 49ers, but I feel like that had more to do with the 49ers just to get so bad.
100%. That's the reason why I am going to pick the Packers in this game. Solely on if it's going to be bad weather, don't throw the ball, give it to Aaron Jones and let him run it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that I'm picking the Packers here at all.
I am actually right there with you. I think, I don't know, Rodgers doesn't look cooked, but doesn't he just look like he doesn't care? Like he just looks like he doesn't give a shit. He just looks like
after that press conference that he had, he doesn't give a shit. He made it clear he doesn't give a shit. He wants to go off in the jungle, smoke his shit, and call it a day.
I mean, who doesn't? But we're not NFL quarterbacks. So I don't think regardless of what the Bears do, I've seen too many Packers-Bears game where Aaron Rodgers he said it last year. He owns the city of Chicago. They should give him a key to the city. He owns it. My whole family's from Chicago. They should start calling Aaron Rodgers dad because they're Bears fans. He's their daddy, and I don't think that changes now. So Packers win. Next up, for some reason this week, not opening week, but this week, we have 2 Monday night games, both with East Coast teams, which makes no sense. I thought the whole purpose of 2 Monday night games was to do 1 East Coast game, 1 West Coast game.
No, one's on ESPN, one's on ABC.
Again, why are you competing against yourself? Doesn't make any sense. This is a dumb idea, but apparently this is going to happen a couple times during the season. We have the Tennessee Titans 0-1 after shockingly losing to the Giants at what looks to be the best team in the NFL. Buffalo Bills 1-0. They stomped the Rams last week. Who you got, Casino?
I'm going with this wonderful trend of throwing the dime out there. Another 10-point favorite, going with the Bills.
Dude, I'm doing a 16 parlay, picking every team they have going 10 and picking the opposite. Like, no way. Games, everybody thought the Giants were going to get blown out by the Titans and it was a 1 point game. There is no way there's this many 10-point games. Like,
I'm reading it right here.
that is
well,
insane.
then again, I'm reading it off of the NFL Network.
Ugh. So who knows? But
and Bills, hands down, just not in question, though.
Yeah,
I still have the Bills.
I think this could be the biggest point differential this week. I do think it'll be more than 10, but still, it's crazy how many games are 10-point favorite. Now, my personal game of the week, potentially game of the week, are on Monday Night Football and then Thursday Night Football with Chargers, Chiefs. And in this game, Vikings 0-1, or I'm sorry, 1-0 after smacking the Packers down versus my Philadelphia Eagles, aka Super Bowl or bust. Who you got in this one, Casino? Vikings at Eagles.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Oh.
I'm going to go that pick solely off because I love you. No, this is going to be, it's only a 2-point spread here, but the over-under is 50.5. But I think that's fair. It is supposed to be rainy, but I think both these teams are going to smack shit out of each other in the best way. I think it's the 5:30 game. The Buffalo, Tennessee is the 4:15, all Pacific time. But I do think Philly comes on top out of here. You know better than me.
I loved what I saw from the Eagles offense last week. The Eagles defense, again, they went from super aggressive, and then when they thought they had the game in the bag, they decided to go super conservative, and it cost them. I don't know why anyone in the NFL tries to do a prevent defense or any type of conservative defense. It never works. It just eats up the clock, eats up yards, and then the game ends closer than you thought it would be. But I think the only one that scares me in this game is Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. Obviously, Justin Jefferson. I just think this Minnesota offense is going to be way too much for this bend, don't break Eagles defense. I think this is going to be high scoring. I would definitely bet the over in this at 50. You said 50.5 was the over?
50.5, yeah.
I would bet this over all day long. I think this ends, maybe a 32-35 game like we saw last week with the Lions. But Kirk Cousins scares me. He has always scared me. He's always owned the Eagles. But then again, he's always been bad on primetime. So which one of those cancels out? Which one reigns supreme? I'm rooting for the Eagles. I'm actually going to pick the Vikings on this one. I think Vikings come out on top. I think they assert themselves as the number one NFC team, especially with the Rams kind of faltering. So, yeah, there we have it. Week 2 in the books. A lot of good games this week. I think the Monday night game, Vikings-Eagles, is a really interesting NFC matchup. And then we have the Thursday night game. The Sunday games are the ones that are just weird matchups. And games I was interested in, like Bengals Cowboys, have obviously been lessened because of the Dak Prescott injury. And then, Steelers Patriots looks to be I think that'll be the game I'll be checking out just for you, Casino. I'm kind of interested in the Texans Broncos game. Is there any games that are on your radar besides Patriots Steelers?
Be honest, every single one that you hit. I want to see what Russell does. He needs to bounce back. Also interested on that Panthers there. I want to know if we're really just dumb or not. If the Giants are legit, or are we just dumb? So that's one I'm be watching. And then obviously the Thursday night and then the late Monday night. I think those are going to be the best ones to watch for sure.
Also, 2 sneaky good games early on in the day is the Dolphins-Ravens, I think could be a fun game. And I'm really interested to see the Colts-Jags. Can the Jags continue just this Colts at-home dominance? And then we get the Brady-led Bucks against the Saints. So can he break the curse of getting his ass kicked by the Saints? But do you want to, before we get out of here, that's our NFL picks for this week, do you want to touch on your WNBA, your Las Vegas Aces?
Yes, I do.
So we are recording this Thursday afternoon, and they play what game tonight?
They play game 3 tonight at 6 against the Connecticut Sun, and it is a best of 5 series in the WNBA. So Aces could close out and getting emotional already.
I mean, I'll be fucking watching it because I can't watch the Amazon Prime game.
They could bring the first professional sports title to Las Vegas. I am so stoked about this. Being born and raised here, I really excited. However, I mean, I hate how the WNBA works with it where you can't close out in a home if you sweep. So
wait, what does that mean?
So the first 2 games were here in Vegas because we were the number 1 seed, and then Connecticut for the next 2. And then if it goes 5, it goes back to Vegas, comes back to Vegas. So pretty much if we don't want to go to 5 games and, winner take all in that last game, we have to win it on the road here. It is going to be interesting playing against Connecticut. They are a big bruiser team. Showed in game 1 where it was 67-64. Luckily, Vegas was able to come out on top on that one, but that was their lowest score total of the entire season in a whole. Upped it in game 2 where the Aces came out 85-71, where 3 of their players, it was actually a WNBA stat record there, where 3 of their players hit over 20 points or more, with Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, and Asia Wilson. And the Suns, they didn't look bad by any means, but they were not. Like Courtney Williams had a great game. She had 18 points. She was 9 for 17, 9 rebound. And then rebounds. Jones, she had 11. So they still played a really good game, but once the Aces got out in front at the end of that first quarter, it kind of was just the same score the entire way. There's a little bit in the third where where Connecticut came back up against them. But tonight is game 3, and I do have the Aces closing out. I think it's going to it may be another low scoring game being back in Connecticut. I think Connecticut takes it back to playing their style, which is a lower scoring. They still have a high point total. Like points per game, the Aces for the season were 90 and a half points, and Connecticut was 85 and almost 86 points per game. So they were both high scoring offenses, but Connecticut was always better at holding the other teams to a lower point total. But I think Aces take it home tonight, which would be really awesome for the WNBA and for having a new franchise who's only been around 4 years. They're 1 year after the night, so I think this is ending their 4th season. Take the title. I think it's happening tonight, and then I'm going to go off and cry and then go party, and can't wait. They've already announced that there will be a parade if the Aces take it on. Again, tough feat though, because Connecticut, they're probably going to force the Aces to play their style of game again, which is going to be a bruiser style. But I just don't think there's any stopping Vegas at this point.
All right. I'm still amazed that you have your hot NBA takes, or your WNBA takes. Like, that's amazing to me. We'll just touch on, your dog wants to talk about the WNBA more, but we'll move on to one of the craziest weekends in college football last weekend, with Appalachian State beating Texas A&M, and then Marshall beating Notre Dame, both unranked teams beating ranked teams. Obviously, Appalachian State famous for upsetting Michigan that one year, and then Marshall I think, famous for that movie, right? Where with Matthew McConaughey, where their whole team, what wasn't that story like their whole team died in a plane crash or something absolutely horrible like that? But yeah, the college world. I watched that whole Texas-Alabama game where Texas almost upset Alabama, came down to the fourth quarter, end of the game, like pretty much down to the wire. And yeah, just college football. I'll tell you what, they implemented that I can't remember what they call it, but where they can get college players can get sponsors, and it has definitely evened out and made college football way more unpredictable, because why would you want to go on Alabama and be the 15th most popular person when you can go to Marshall and be the number one person with a giant paycheck? So I love what I think it's NIL. I love what the NIL has done for college football and how it just seems like everybody is much closer than they probably should be, like based on how it's been in the past. But God, you watch any of the college football on this past Saturday, Casino?
No, I did not. No. Yeah, I know exactly.
All right. Well, yeah, that's it for this week. We would get more into college football, but my child is being impatient and I need to go feed him and myself lunch. Casino, you got anything else to add before we get out of here?
Thank you for listening to the only sports podcast out there.
Yeah, the one and only, the only sports podcast. This has been the only sports podcast on the internet, on the web. I'm Will. That's Casino, formerly Balls and Bros. We'll have new podcast logo to go with this episode. But yeah,
we're still keeping that funky intro, though.
Oh, definitely. You know it. And that same funky intro is also our funky outro, which you're about to hear. So Casino. Yeah, this has been fun. Until next week, hopefully it's a good week of NFL football. So adios, Casino.
I beat Will.